2 men, 2 machines running on fumes, 2 hazardous and demanding jobs.
Flying is dangerous, especially the flying that we do.
I don't think you could think about everything that goes on in that 11.9 seconds.
Danger is always near what we do.
The fastest, finest machines in NASCAR and the United States Air Force fleet use more gasoline in one day than most people use in a year. Both must be refueled quickly.
KC-135 is one big gas station in the sky.
The job of the gas man is as important as any guy that goes over the wall.
It is pretty pressure-packed. Lots of bad things could happen.
We're parallel parking at 55 miles an hour. He's the master when it comes to getting a fuel cell completely full.
On this episode, a squadron of F-22 Raptors and Greg Biffle's number 16 car need fuel. To get it, they'll rely on precise positioning, airtight connections, and fuel that flows at incredible speeds. Their paths to the pump cross at intersections. Chief Master Sergeant Rocky Rollins is the world's highest flying gas man. In Air Force lingo, he's known as a boomer, the man in control of a telescopic boom that delivers over 1,000 gallons of jet fuel per minute.
Being up there at 30,000 feet in the air, that's where I want to live. I've been doing it for 23 years now, and I'd rather do that than sit behind a desk.
His office is in the back of a U.S. Air Force's flying gas station, the KC-135 Stratotanker. It measures 136 feet long and almost the same between the wingtips. Its maximum cruising speed while refueling is 530 miles per hour and can perform its mission in altitudes up to 50,000 feet. This behemoth carries more fuel than you'll find at your local gas station, or roughly 30,000 gallons of jet fuel known as JP8. Chief Rollins grew up in a small town, but longed to see the world, and he found his opportunity in the Air Force.
I'm a standard kid from Henderson, Nebraska. It's a town of 900 people. I'm a farm boy. Went to the recruiter in the Air Force, and he said, well, I got this job here. It's a boom operator. And I looked at it, and I said, that sounds like a good thing for me. So I signed up and joined. My first introduction to really aviation was that first flight to basic training.
Each of these refueling teams deliver the goods in a highly choreographed and dangerous series of maneuvers that must be completed quickly. Any deviation from the plan can jeopardize the mission, the race, and the men. But before the first drop can flow, these speed machines need to get in position. Today, Chief Rollins and his crew assigned to Andrews Air Force Base are refueling a squadron of F-22 Raptors involved in war games, hundreds of miles off the eastern seaboard of the U.S.
It is the boom operator who is in charge of that whole process. We are the eyes and ears for everybody.
Chief Rollins works out of what's known as the boomer pod in the rear of the KC-135 in an unusual position.
We have 3 seats back there. We call them seats, but you're actually laying down on your stomach. Right now, we're in the business end of the airplane. This is the boom pod. This is where I do my job from. This is the sighting door. This door actually comes up. We'll go up into the airplane, and there's a window back in there. It's kind of hard to see from here. That's a really big window and looks out, and that's how we get the good view out there. You actually lay down with your head on a chin rest, and you got a big window out there, and you look out, and you can see that receiver airplane behind you. We have our tanker pilots up front, you have the boom operator, and you have the receiver pilots below you. It takes all 3 of us to do an in-flight refueling. If one of us is having a bad day, we're all having a bad day.
The squadron joins up with the tanker inside a box in the sky dictated by latitude and longitude. Once the fighters make visual contact with the tanker, they rely on Rocky to guide them into position. As they approach, the stakes get higher.
Coming in, pilot, 30 feet.
We're actually going over 400 miles an hour, so it is very fast how they come in. It's kind of like a pit box when they come in and they're hauling, and they just slide on in there and hit the brakes, kind of like what the fighters do when they come in.
At 20,000 feet, somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, a much more serious ballet is wrapping up.
After we're done refueling, we still have to get apart. We call it a disconnect process.
The squadron of F-22 Raptors gets the word from Chief Rollins that refueling is complete.
When I'm done and I disconnect, I hit the disconnect trigger.
At that moment, a hydraulic switch breaks the airtight coupling between the Stratotanker, and the fighter is disengaged.
See you later. Have a good flight.
We get a light in the cockpit that tells us we're disconnected from the boom, and at that point we move over, make sure there's no other airplanes nearby, and then move over to where we need to be on the other wing.
And then I retract the boom and raise the boom out of the way. so I don't hit anything on that receiver airplane.
Disconnect, boom is clear, sir.
It's fast, it's furious, it can be very mind-boggling of what you're doing up there because there's so many radios going off, so much information trying to get to you, and yet you have to keep it straight.
As on pit road, there's danger in disengaging, especially at 400 miles an hour with as many as 6 planes in formation. Every move must be done precisely to avoid a collision.
Yes, our boom can go through a fighter's canopy, can go through a windshield on any other airplane.
Once they're all done, then typically we climb above the tanker safely, and then once we've got about 1,000 feet separation, then we continue on our way and separate from the tanker.
The Raptors are off to provide combat air support. For Chief Rollins and the crew of the KC-135, it's another job well done.
Well, there's a huge relief. You actually relax completely and go, got him his gas. We got it done safely. Let's stow this stuff up and let's go home.
But the tanker's mission isn't over until it lands. Thousands of feet in the air, there are still obstacles to face.
We had an airplane did get a lightning strike. It struck the left wingtip, and it traveled through the airframe and actually blew a hole in the nose radome. No fuel ignited. It gave everybody a fright with it happening, of course.
Today's refueling has gone off without incident, and the squadron has headed back to their maneuvers somewhere over the Atlantic. Thanks to fuel supplied by the KC-135 Stratotanker and Sergeant Rocky Rollins.
We pride ourselves in being there all the time, on time, every time.